Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your Panda back, and actually talk about something else today. By something else, it's going to be the rapidly unfolding train wreck that has been happening ever since the chat logs began on July 30th, 2021 to date. I mean, obviously, it's been the topic of interest that's been discussed for the past several videos I've uploaded. I mean, what more can you want? The answer is justice, maybe some sort of a conclusion, but I don't think we're going to get that anytime soon. And, like, did any of you suspect the massive rabbit hole of insanity that was going to unfold from start to finish when those chat logs hit the internet? And I'm not talking about, like, the Telegram chat logs. I'm talking about the audio logs. Like, everything, that whole conversation that was, like, 10, 15 minutes long. Did, like, any of you have any idea what was going to come out from that? I'll tell you one thing. Like, you know, when I first heard Bella's voice, and I made the mistake of thinking that was Chrissy, you know, in the actual Telegram chat logs, and then I realized that Chrissy is actually just a moniker for Christian. Because the trolls have had, you know, multiple colorful labels for Christian, you know, usually poking fun at their gender, like Bat Tits, Chrissy, or shits his pants and does nothing. Yeah, like, it's a lot to take in, obviously, and like we're not even at the end point here. This is just barely getting into it, and like there's not a whole lot as far as new developments. A lot of what we're pouring over right now, and I say we, I mean the internet. Like, you're in that boat, the KiwiFarmers are in that boat. The KiwiFarmers are honestly the progenitors of a lot of this information, and if you're wondering where all the information comes from, it's largely through the people that were a part of Bella's inner circle. You know, the people that were in that Discord masquerading as a chess club for Texas Tech University, and they were basically thrown under the bus by Fiona, and not Fiona, Bella. Bella tried to, like, divert suspicion from her to Zoe to Fiona. Anybody that was basically near her, she tried to throw them under the bus in order to save her own skin. Thankfully, a lot of the people that were actually questioning the validity of a lot of the information that was coming out by sock puppet accounts or people that were close to her had two brain cells to work with and rubbed them together and figured out that, you know, Bella was full of shit. So that's where we stand. And, you know, there's just newfound information about her past history. For instance, there was like almost like a prophetic, I wouldn't say like a short story. It was like a, you know, fictional writing, like an essay that she wrote like years ago. And it's just dark enough that you can sort of see what her mindset is. Very nihilistic. I might read it towards the later part of this video. But for right now, the biggest bombshell, quote unquote, was a video that came out. One of the YouTubers, I believe, like Machete Duck, he's been sort of like pumping out content daily. And usually they're like minute to 2 minute long videos, and it basically covers, you know, the ins and outs of, like, you know, little tidbits of information. And through the tidbits of information, you can sort of get a clearer picture of who Bella is as an individual. I'd just like to say one thing. Like, what I found surprising about the whole thing is that from the very start, like, you know, when Christian was arrested, the chat logs had been making their rounds throughout the internet. You had a numerous amount of people, like predominantly YouTubers, some of which only tangentially cover drama-related subjects like this, but coming out of the woodwork to add their 2 cents, and they're still pumping out videos today. Some of which are like reaction videos to the whole thing, but some of which are actually trying to provide a synopsis for their viewership. And it's just like, you're a little bit late to the party, aren't you, bub? But you know, you have even, like, actual journalists like Tucker Carlson coming out and talking about Christian. If you don't know who Tucker Carlson is, he's just a conservative journalist. He covers a lot of stories with sort of a conservative, like, bent to him, and he seems like a well-polished, like, clean-cut type of dude. I mean, I might have a beer with him sometime, but at the same time, I don't really agree with a lot of what he says. For as clear-cut, clean-cut, and, like, soft-spoken as he is, and not very in-your-face, but at the same time, he's kind of like that annoying uncle at the dinner table talking about politics. You know, you just want to enjoy, like, turkey Thanksgiving dinner, and he goes off on, like, questioning you about why this politician or that politician is doing this or that, and you're just kind of like, Uncle Tucker, can I just enjoy my potatoes and peas here, please? Thank you. Anyway, all that to say that a lot of people are now fully aware of the Christian situation. But, going into that, a lot of people are actually learning about it to this day. I mean, a lot of people don't keep up with internet drama. In fact, me personally, I don't advertise this sort of stuff anymore, alright? I used to because it was content, but people don't like that because it spreads the drama far and wide. And especially for somebody like Kira the Wolf, you don't necessarily want to antagonize people, you don't want to get them angry, but at the same time, it's worth mentioning because there are plenty of people that didn't really seem to acknowledge the full extent of what Kira the Wolf had done. I'm only using him as an example, like tangentially to this situation, because, Bella's a good example of like a social vampire. She, like, her connivings and machinations had pulled a good many people in. And it should be very telling by how easily and how willfully she was willing to throw them all under the bus in order to save her own ass when the internet came knocking. And KiwiFarms was not very impressed. In fact, there's a litany of threads. One of the biggest ones has been closed down. Some threads appear to have been fully deleted, and some, like, tidbits of information have been fully removed. I'm not sure if KiwiFarms has sort of like a backdoor for people that aren't users, but it's entirely possible. They're actually like putting in safeguards to prevent DDoS attacks from affecting their normal operations, which, if you don't know, it would appear, like, and this is purely speculatory because there's no like hard proof to attest to this, but it seems strangely, eerily coincidental that the DDoS attacks happened shortly after Bella's docs was released. I don't think doxing Bella was necessarily the right thing to do, but at the same time, given her litany of crimes, I can't really fault them, because if it's public information, it's public information. How are you going to identify her? But here's some things that happened from, like, the start to finish, alright? There was the three people that I think of that cover Christian pretty extensively have been Gibby, Dylan Thomas, and Base Shaman. Base Shaman being my favorite of the two, followed by Dylan Thomas, and then Gibby at the end. And I used to think that Gibby and Dylan Thomas were the same, because they had a similar voice at one point in time when I was hearing them, but no, they're two distinct, different individuals, Gibby being significantly older than Dylan Thomas, it would appear. I'm not entirely sure, because I don't think I've ever seen Dylan Thomas's face. Gibby reveals himself, like, quite honestly. Although I've heard some, like, questionable things about Gibby, like he gets into conspiracy theories and things like that, and that's not really what I'm all about. And this is off topic, but my favorite conspiracy theory, because it's complete and total bullshit, is that the Nazis after World War II escaped to Antarctica to build a Nazi war base. And that the US Army and the Navy went in there with the power of 5,000 Marines and the Navy, and they got forced back because of ultra science lasers were shooting at them, UFOs were attacking them, and they were driven out. And ever since then, well, for whatever reason, the Nazis just stopped. I guess they came to a peace agreement, and yeah. I'm trying to say that, like, what I'm saying is that most conspiracy theories I hear are complete and utter horseshit. Although it's entirely feasible. Some of them are entirely feasible, But that's not really the topic of discussion for this particular video. Yeah, Gibby did something naughty, alright? Gibby got into direct contact with Bella, or at least one of her sock puppet accounts. And Bella had basically been feeding him information about, the whole situation. Spoon-feeding him what she wanted to tell him, and what she wanted him to report. And Gibby, thinking that he got a big scoop on the matter, he decided to put Fiona's docs, thinking that Fiona was the mastermind behind this whole thing. And Fiona, from what I find out, she's mildly autistic, she's just very emotional. Right now, she's not doing too well, but at the same time, she seemed like a well-meaning girl that just had a strange infatuation with Christian, like everything that he could have possibly wanted in a girl. Mildly attractive and fairly, like, bubbly, sweet, nice, and probably would have gone for Christian, in spite of the fact that Christian was significantly older than her, like almost double her age, but we don't need to get into those details. But yeah, Fiona, she actually was willing to go bend backwards for Christian, but Christian just wasn't interested, and you could even hear in Bella's interview, well, not really interview, in the, like, audio logs, she was talking to Christian and trying to be like, hey, Fiona's really interested in you, why don't you go for her? Christian just wasn't having it, which is strange, Like, it's so weird that Christian finally has the opportunity to fulfill his love quest, find his boyfriend-free girl, and, just basically have everything he ever wanted, with the fantastical belief that the love quest was just going to solve all of his problems, and that everything from here on out was going to be hokey-dory. Well, it never happened, obviously, because you all know what happened. And if you don't know what happened, well, I'll refer you to my first video of this particular subject matter. It doesn't need to be said now. Raping his mom. Alright. That all being stated, Gibby released her full docs, and having such a prominent YouTuber that has a fairly large audience releasing the docs of somebody and not really apologizing for it after the fact was kind of a bit much for Fiona to take. I mean, a lot of people were, sort of like eyes on her. She was suddenly the center of attention in the room, and she just couldn't take it. Had a mental breakdown, and supposedly has been institutionalized ever since. I mention this because I remember Dylan Thomas was really kind of angry at Gibby for doing that, and just kind of like, dude, that's a fucking faux pas. Like, you just pulled a party foul, all right, buddy. Like, you crossed the line. And I can kind of get what he's saying, but all right. So I say all of that because what I'm saying to you all, I try to do some research. I try to do a modicum of research. I try to get into the nitty-gritty details. I try to at least validate and verify what I report to you all. But YouTubers are not journalists, all right? We can pretend to be. We can pretend to be internet detectives. We can pretend to be internet journalists. But at the end of the day, we are not much different from you. However, some people, they gain experience over the time. They gain a natural-born skepticism, like professional skepticism in certain situations. They can sort of use their intuition to determine if something's bullshit or not, and they can make calls that are usually accurate. This is not the case for everybody, though, because everybody's capabilities are entirely different. Just in all fairness, I would say that I'm somewhere in the middle, because obviously this is a glorified hobby for me, alright? I consider this internet news, by the way, but it always puts a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth that I'm covering somebody else's tragedy. I don't really feel all that bad in terms of Christian or Bella, though, because I feel like, given everything that I know about them and everything that's sort of transpired up to this point, they kind of deserve it. But anyway, that's just apart from, my 2 cents on the matter. Alright, so this actually happened the other day, and I was going to make a video about it. This happened yesterday. Alright, so there was a particular series of videos that were being released by Bella. Or I should say, about Bella. Because the videos themselves appear to have been recorded by one of Bella's friends. And that's not really a stretch of the imagination. She was on campus, knew quite a few people, and wrapped them up in her bullshit. Because, she liked to target students and minorities, play around, fuck around, what have you. One of the videos, though, like I was saying before, Machete Duck, he releases a video called Horsing Around. And it really does kind of look like 2 college-age girls just horsing around in their dorm room. And nothing too problematic until you realize what is going on. You know what? I might as well just pause the video right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and provide commentary as we watch the video together. Shall we? I'll be back in a bit. So, this video has actually been uploaded to YouTube a couple times, but one small detail is that the sound, by default, has been removed from the video. This is a silent video, alright? Yeah, if you haven't left yet, and you want to watch something that's kind of weird, then now's the time to do it. But already, from without playing this was recorded on a phone, presumably, because it seems to suffer from vertical video syndrome. I didn't do this, by the way, the black space over here. This leads me to believe that this was specifically, from a phone. That the phone was being held up rather than sideways when this was being recorded. So there's probably a third party that's recording this, but, brunette girl, and what the fuck is with that face, number one? And she seems like they're just having fun, she's got, a little smile that you can barely detect. But what the fuck is that expression on her face? Obviously, you can, stop any sort of, video and just, see all the weird faces that pop up. But still, this is such a bizarre, starting expression for Bella. I'm just going to click the video, and we're going to watch. And I'll pause the video occasionally when need be, but, yeah. Alright, so they're both doing something, and she just keeps making some weird... Alright. And I guess they're faking humping. And the girls had enough. But Bella's not had enough. And she's starting to get a little upset. And, whoa. Okay, Bella. I think she wants you to get off of her now. Bella. Okay. Bella crossed the line. And she's done with that. She's done with Bella. She doesn't want it anymore. Dude, she said no. No means no. Okay, for some reason, she's hiding in the closet. And now she's trying to get Bella to go away. Yeah, get in the bathroom, Bella. Okay. I see, like, the ending is the problem for me because, like, a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon of sexual abuse, blah, 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 blah. And I will say that this is a very weird video, don't get me wrong. But, you know, college girls on college campuses, sometimes they do weird things. The thing that weirded me out, and remember, like, I watched this video much earlier today, and I remembered something different. So, critical analysis is Bella's just making these expressions because somebody's recording her, presumably. But let's just watch that one more time. Let's see if there's something that we missed the first time around. She's clearly, like, not having it at some point. Enough that she, like, is like, get the fuck off me. And Bella doesn't like no for an answer. Why does she keep doing that bobbing motion? She's like, I'm done. Like, just... It's like, don't fucking touch me. She's willing to hide in the closet away from Bella. Not that I can blame her too much. It's like, get the fuck in there. Go to the bathroom. See, that's what bothers me, because this could just be horsing around, which is what somebody, Machete Duck, I believe, he put that title on, but, alright. So, yeah. Let's move on, and we'll add more commentary. Alright, the next video is more ambiguous, but at least it shows who I believe to be Luis. I've only seen Luis's picture a couple times, and I know that they're Indonesian, but yeah. I know they wear glasses, and I know they're, like, Bella's longtime friend. I don't think they've changed too much over the span of a year, so, like, it remains to be seen whether or not... I'm gonna have to look up his picture sometime again, because to verify this, but... This is just, you know, college bullshit, I guess you can call it. This looks like something I'd see at, like, a furry con. Like some sort of a weird ritual. I have no idea what these kids are doing. But I'm going to go ahead and play the video. This one, unlike the earlier one, actually has audio. So let me unmute the desktop. There you go. Alright. So let's see if it plays.
He's not. Hold it.
Did you have a certain image
sit on
of
your
me?
hands. Sit on your hands. Sit on your hands. Hurry.
I want to sit my hands.
It's because DJ has a certain like.
What the fuck is this? This is bullshit. It doesn't even come out. Wait, no. Put it back on.
TJ's watching me, isn't he?
He's not watching you.
Oh, he's not.
He's not.
TJ, I appreciate that, even though you.
Unscrew it.
I am. There you go.
No.
Oh my god, it was one of those.
You just hurt me.
It worked out either way. I liked it either way.
What the fuck? Better clean all that shit up.
Okay. I'm sorry I have doubts that's Lewis. But again, this is the first time I'm watching this video. It's something that I collected today, you know? I have another video. Alright. So this is the third video. And this is supposedly Bella self-harming herself with a soldering iron. If you're not familiar with what a soldering iron is, it's basically enables you to repair small electronics. Solder being the binding agent that brings together components on silicon boards. Yeah, most of you should know what a soldering iron is, but maybe you can just pretend that it's a curling iron. Anyway, let's go ahead and play this because,
Come. Yes. See, the skin's popping from the heat.
Oh my god, Bella.
Bella, what are you doing?
You can kind of see it. Dude, you can kind of see it. That's great. Look, look, look. You can kind of see it. And it popped. It looks like... Oh, wow. Did you see this way my skin popped? My skin popped in the heat. Wow. Am I not doing fast enough? I don't get it. Oh, I can kind of see... Oh, I can kind of see it. Wait.
Oh my god. I'm gonna fucking regret it.
Why are you
Stop.
trying to videotape this?
Because You're not gonna do it. Don't do it.
I just did. It's just not showing up.
Okay. I don't know what the significance of that was, why she's playing with a soldering iron like that. Those things aren't the hottest thing that you can put to your skin, but hot enough that you probably don't want to be doing that. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the regular video, shall we? So there have been long-standing allegations that Isabella is actually a sexual predator, and supposedly she's admitted and bragged about raping a girl on campus. Forcing a girl to have sex with her, yeah, that's textbook rape. But at the same time, Bella seems to have a grandiose sense of self-importance and ego, which is probably indicative of her psychopathic behavior. And it's important to note this because, this video is pretty incriminating insofar as the girl clearly does not want to be touched by Bella. And Bella seems to be gaining some sort of sexual pleasure. Granted, she's making a lot of weird faces, so it could just be because she's being recorded, but let us just exercise all fairness here and try to be look at this objectively without any bias or, undue bias against Bella, in spite of the fact that what we know about her. Yeah, I don't know. The ending of the video is really what sort of dispels the notion of that. Girl clearly doesn't want to be touched, but at the same time, she goes and touches Bella and smiles and, laughs at the very end. So, is that, just her trying to diffuse the situation, or did she legitimately was don't fucking touch me? I don't know, this could just be, she had enough in the moment, but, all's forgiven a couple minutes later. Friends do that sometimes, alright? In all fairness. I mean, I've seen quite a few things on campus, and they're college students, alright? College students do dumb things in their dorms sometimes. Or should I say all the time. But in Bella's case, I can't help but feel that if the third party wasn't there recording, would she have gone further with that? Would she have? Question mark. I'm not trying to bullshit you guys. I'm not trying to be trying to be one of those types of people that sort of distorts the picture for your perception, but I am just asking an open question here. I mean, how far is this going to go if there wasn't a third party to watch this whole thing? And what I'm curious is, why was the audio muted when it was released? Number one. Number two, who's the third party that's recording the video? Speculation would lead me to say that that's probably one of the people that shared the video, because they're one of the people from Bella's Discord that was thrown under the bus. She has they have no real reason to support Bella at this point or protect her, so they're going to freely share information to save their own ass. Entirely feasible. Also, there's been this recurrent interview from former roommates of Bella, one of which was transgender. And Kami Dick Girl, she's a YouTuber that, basically comes out and just talks about things like this. She actually did an interview with a couple of the people that were relatively close to Bella. It's kind of interesting. You might want to check it out sometime. I mean, they're obviously secondhand accounts because we're probably not going to have the opportunity to really question Bella ourselves. And my question is, would you want to? Do you want to talk to a psychopath? I don't really want to talk to a psychopath, but if I had to get some information out of him, I might try to, but Bella just seems to be full of bullshit. Honestly, there was that interview that I listened to about how she was trying to put all blame off of her on everybody else around her. And in her own words, we know that to be bullshit, because there's so much material out there that would lead us to believe that Bella really wanted to go for, I don't know, becoming the queen of the trolls. You know, getting Christian to commit suicide, getting to, like, break the internet and be the one true goddess that people would point to and say, Bella the Majestic. Certainly a number of simps have come out of the woodwork to defend Bella's honor, which is just kind of like, why? Like, the girl's a psychopath. She's moderately attractive, sure, but that attractiveness quickly goes away when you realize that she's basically, like, you know, subsumed by fungi at this point. You know, all those yeast infections and, like, you know, infections, fungal infections all over her body. Mainly her toenails. I mean, good God. I have never had, like, toenail fungus, and, like, I've heard stories that I had a family member or two that got it, and it took a really long time to go away. So when I was a kid, I was always warned by my parents, like, you know, watch what you do at the swimming pool, always wear slippers when you're walking to and from the swimming pool, blah, 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 blah. Now I know why. I know exactly why. Look at all those gross-ass feet. And if there's any foot fetishists out there, like, I don't think even you would touch this with a 10-foot pole, alright? Like, ooh. Those toenails were, like, approaching black. And I've heard stories about how she would peel them off, clean them off a bit, glue them back on, or, like, glue on fake ones. You know, those fake ones that girls can buy, you know, to make your, like, toes or fucking fingernails look a certain color. Yeah, shit like that. It's, you know, something truly out of a nightmarish situation. Imagine Bella being your girlfriend, and she's, like, smearing cat excrement on her fingernails and toenails and anus, and not really something I want to imagine right now, but I've seen the pictures, and the pictures are truly something that you kind of need a cast iron stomach to sort of stomach. But yeah, a lot of simps have just come out of the woodwork to defend Bella's honor and saying that they could fix her, or that they could, like, rehabilitate her, and that Bella would be their one true bae that could truly simp over all day. The only simp that I'm aware of is Lewis, and arguably Alan, but, you know, Alan seemed more on, I wouldn't say quite on Bella's level, but he was like a half step behind her, if that makes any sense. Like, he wasn't quite as bad and raunchy as Bella was, as far as, like, what she was capable of doing, but considering the fact that he was grossly apathetic to what she was doing, like the harm, the damage, and, like, the extent of how problematic that behavior was, it leads me to believe that he was the kind of the friend that whatever Bella was going to go for, he was just going to go along with it because, you know, why say no? He wants to see this through as well. He just might be a little bit more cowardly than Bella was, and Bella being crass and over the top, well, stands to reason that she was going to go and do whatever she wanted. Okay. Well, alright. So, some things I've also been hearing is that Texas Tech University, a lot of people have reached out to them. They have reached out to talk about Isabella Janke and basically try to inform them about the extent of her crimes, her criminal behavior, her online harassment, targeting of minorities and transgender people. And Texas Tech University has not made, like, a real public statement. They've been, well, like, something that's I would consider to be sufficient. Like, they would basically say the whole, like, you know, pretty much like ironclad, like, you know, response of, hey, it's being looked into, all right? And, like, more recently, they've seemed to gone on to, like, just delete comments entirely and not respond to them at all. Not even acknowledge their existence. And I'm not entirely sure if it's because they don't want the bad publicity, they don't want to deal with that bullshit, they're not really interested in online internet drama. However, like, considering Bella, like, her behavior and antics and bullshit like that, I'm actually very curious on whether they'll do something quietly, but let's be honest here, it's probably going to amount to a slap on the wrist. Bella ain't going to be expelled unless something truly egregious comes out from this whole thing, alright? Because, like, as far as proof goes, a lot of the proof only comes in admissions through Discord messages, which I don't think would be admissible in court, honestly, because then you'd have to go into the whole... There would have to be an entirely, like, forensic operation of investigating her IP history, tying an IP to a username, like, verifying that she was, in fact, the progenitor of this particular material, and that verifying all of the things that she bragged about. And I'm talking about this because, like, it's not like she committed murder or anything like that, unless you want to make the argument that she contributed to that one transgender individual's suicide. But other than that, that's not really directly responsible on Isabella. I consider it to be, but, you know, like, a lawyer would be very, like, you know, prudent to, like, argue that away. All right? So my suspicion is they're probably going to do something quietly. Give her a slap on the wrist, maybe cut her internet access, like, off, unless it's pertaining to schoolwork, and basically try to mitigate some of that bad behavior that's getting out there. Mike Janke, Isabella's father, you know, decorated ex-Navy SEAL member, and I guess head of a tech firm. I can only imagine how much money he's spending, like, you know, hiring hackers and shit to actively monitor and try to look for loopholes in KiwiFarms, like, you know, security. And it's just like, you know, for a rich bitch parent like that to be investing all this money to do that, damn. Like, what? Wow. I don't think Bella deserves it. I think, obviously, he's going to do whatever he can for his daughter, but how ironic that an ex-Navy SEAL member who served his country well would have a daughter that ended up trying to target minorities and transgender people and try to get fucking Christian of all people to commit suicide. Like, that's just... And, like, that's not even, like, inclusive of her bad hygiene practices and her fucked up proclivities. Supposedly what gets her really hard is, like, a man stroking a cat. Stroking a pussy. That gets her really hard. Because, I don't know why. Like, I guess it has to be, like, a strong dude gently stroking a cat. It's weird. And that's what, like, she said, alright? That's not something that I'm trying to put in her mouth. I'm saying that that's something that she just came out and said in conversation about what got her off and what she liked and what got her hot. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, the smearing of cat excrement and feces and feeding your cat very gross foods, like, yeah, I don't know. The fungal infection thing also seems to be part of all that. The more I hear about that, the more I'm just thinking that she's a walking biodome. She's like a biohazard, dude. Like, walking around. And people want to tap that. Like, fucking A. Like, do any of you have standards? Are you willing to ignore the fact that somebody is an absolutely shitty person because they're mildly attractive? Granted, this is the internet. I mean, the only girls here are actually FBI agents. Usually. Nah, I'm just joking. I'm taking the piss here, but you gotta admit, this whole thing was just unexpected. A couple of the other videos that we just looked at, one appears, like, I don't know if that's Luis or not, because I know that Luis wears glasses. I don't know why I keep calling them Luis. I know that it's like Lewis, like Doc Lewis, but I don't know. It just, that's what readily comes to mind for me, pronouncing their name like Luis. But they're Indonesian. That person in the video looked more Hispanic to me, but well, that's just me. I didn't really get to look at their face for too long before it was covered by a fucking t-shirt and then having water just dumped on his head. Why? I don't know. I guess it looked like a hazing ritual. It looked like a fucking college hazing ritual, and I guess Bella was inducting him into her cult. That's the only extrapolation I could get out of that. Alright, like, looking at that. It just really seemed like they were horsing around. And that looked like a convention room. Like a place that you would see at, like, MFF or maybe even BLFC. I don't know. That was just unusual, alright? The other video of her playing with the fucking soldering iron, like, you're not supposed to do that. Those soldering irons can get really hot, and she was like, you know, getting all excited that it was popping her skin, causing it to bulge out. Was she gonna, like, sign her name in her arm or something like that? Was there, like, a purpose or reason for that? I have no idea. Like, it's just raising a lot of questions right now. And there's been a litany of videos released. Like, they're usually short, amateurish videos. Obviously, just like college kids fucking around. You know, it's anything more than that. But one of them that's pretty famous, I would say, is the one where she shocks herself with a taser. It's like, are you recording? Yeah. And she, like, you know, sort of like winces in pain and, like, collapses for a bit against, like, the table. And just like, ugh! I don't know. Who was recording all of these videos and for what purpose or reason? Was this all for posterity, or is this was like, you know, just fucking around and, you know, they just happen to have all this? And you gotta admit, it's gotta be like somebody from her inner circle that's sharing all this content, because, you know, Alan being a good example of this, he freely shared his Discord token to exonerate himself of any wrongdoing. Whether or not the trolls really believe him or not remains to be determined, but the fact of the matter remains that a lot of these people wound up becoming KiwiFarmers themselves to say, fuck you, Bella, because Bella betrayed them. Yeah. So, saying all of this up to this point, like, a lot of what we're looking at right now is things that came out either in recent history or distant history, alright? Because there's not really a whole lot of new developments. If you want a new development with, like, you know, Isabella Janke, she did not appear in court Sunday. Remember in my last video I mentioned that this past Sunday, she's supposed to appear in court by the Port Authority, New York Police Department. It's led me, because it's like the Port Authority, that leads me to believe that she was trying to travel with a controlled weapon. And people have gone back and forth about what the actual charge is. I tend to think that it's like a taser, and I don't mean like a taser like the one that you just stick up to somebody and like have to physically touch them with. I don't know why. I'm thinking like the taser, like the stun gun that shoots out those little bolts that like touch your body, and the person can stay like 10 feet away while they're shocking you like 10,000 volts of electricity or something. That's what I'm led to believe, but at the same time, it could have been a gun. I mean, it wouldn't be... if she comes from Texas, like, it wouldn't be that hard to acquire a firearm. To legally have it on campus, that's another story. From what I'm aware, most campuses will allow you to have guns. Not most, but, like, I'm talking about states like Pennsylvania, Texas, and things like that. But they're not going to let you have that in your dorm room. They're going to require you to check that with the local police department or have it held by the school's police department for safekeeping until you leave the campus to go hunting or target shooting or whatever, and then you have to check it out, check it back in, things like that. But Bella supposedly travels a lot, and I'm not sure if she actually has like a concealed carry permit to be able to legally carry a firearm, or like a taser, I guess. But yeah, considering that she was arrested by the Port Authority and, you know, the criminal charge came up, that would lead me to believe that that's most realistic. Either it was a small caliber gun, like a little pistol or something, or it was a stun gun or a taser. One of the three. Alright, so a lawyer actually appeared. Bella mounted a legal defense. By the way, this has nothing to do with the whole Christian drama. This has nothing to do with Texas Tech University. This is squarely between New York State versus Bella. Alright, so don't think it's anything related to the whole Christian drama thing. It's not. Alright, I'd just like to say that right now. It is not related whatsoever. However, it doesn't make her look particularly good. And a lot of people got excited when she got arrested. Well, I shouldn't say arrested, when she got arrested. When she got, when that information appeared online that you could look up and it was like public record and that she was supposed to appear in court. Yeah, no such luck. If this even fucking goes to court, which I don't think it ever will, but you never know. All it takes is a DA with 2 brain cells to work together and actually see the material and be like, hey, like, crime's been committed here in our state. Not in my state. You're going away for a long damn time, girl, if we can prove it in court. But it's probably going to be a 3-ring circus. I mean, look, Mike Janke is probably going to do everything he can to prevent his daughter from going to jail. He wants her to stay at university, to follow her dreams in, you know, computer engineering, or I should say mechanical engineering, whatever, and fulfill her degree. All I know is that her degree is engineering. I actually don't remember, because I remember seeing it, and I just kind of like committed it to memory for a little bit, but it became vastly irrelevant to everything that I was studying after the fact. All right, that's so like little things like that. It doesn't really stick with me. Certain things, like her fucking boiling hamsters and, you know, allegedly raping somebody and allegedly driving somebody else to suicide, that sticks with me. Maybe that's just a dark reflection of my dark and tortured past, but it certainly does raise a lot of questions. And oh, one thing that I want to mention, this is actually old news, but I don't really know if it was Bella. It could have just been some sort of irresponsible, heartless student other than Bella, but the timing seems eerily coincidental, almost like the DDoS attacks. There was a janitor that found a, like, hamster in a cage, and it was like sub-zero freezing temperatures at the time. It was just left out in a dumpster somewhere on campus. And he rescued it, and they made a little news story about it, and he was just talking about how he's going to name the hamster like a certain name and just like take care of it and make sure that it's taken care of. But my question is, was that something that Bella did? Like, did Bella just, like, you know, sacrifice one of her hamsters because she got tired of it? Like, you know, and pardon me if I'm reaching right now, but given her boiling fucking hamsters, I'm not surprised. By the way, one of the commenters in the last video, they were asking, hey, like, is there any proof as to the torture of small animals? Because that's a pretty serious claim, and if so, you know, there should be proof. The only proof that exists, to my knowledge, is a series of screenshots of, like, hamsters in a pot of, like, you know, heating water. And the caption, swim, bitch, swim. Because, you know, like, I wouldn't say caption, actually. When I say caption, I mean, like, somebody was saying that in the chat where it was shared. And, you know, people were actually grilling Alan about this because Alan was supposedly witness to that happening on video. I don't think anybody was recording, and I don't think anybody saved the actual video. If they had any sense, they'll probably delete it and feign ignorance because, you know, that's kind of incriminating to have that sort of material in your computer somewhere. But, like, Alan just claimed that he was in the bathroom and he heard the hamster screaming. He was just like, what the fuck? And came back, and that's what Bella told him, is that she boiled a hamster and ate it. But that story didn't really hold a lot of sway with the trolls. I mean, they weren't really convinced. So just kind of like, okay, well, you're cool. You just let a small animal get tortured and broiled alive. For some reason, like, lobsters are pretty much overpriced sea bugs to me, and it's kind of fucked up the way you cook a lobster, putting it in boiling water, but somehow I don't feel as bad, like, if a lobster was being boiled alive, as, say, like a hamster. It's weird. Maybe it's because the lobster is kind of a crustaceous bug, versus a hamster being a mammal and being, like, a nice, cuddly, like, fluffy creature. So maybe I'm biased in that sense. I do apologize. The big thing is that Max, dude. Like, that small Dutch Hund that was just left to his own, like, neglect and death in feces and filth. And he lost his paws. He just degenerated and wasted away. He was hailed as one of the best boys. You know, the bestest little boy that any of the trolls could possibly imagine. And to be fair, like, his picture floating around online, he certainly has, you know, that doughy-eyed look in his eyes. The one that says, you know, you have no idea how much I've suffered at the hands of Bella. Maybe I'm reaching. So let's move on. Apart from that, Goober is the latest and greatest pet of Isabella's, and he seems to be taken care of for the most part. In spite of the fact that she kind of, like, overfeeds him, feeds him rancid food to get him to shit more, because that really gets her off too. Smell of cat shit. I don't know where these fetishes come from, you know? Like, being in the furry fandom, I'm aware of a lot of fucked up fetishes. I have a very vanilla set of fetishes. Maybe some are a little considered weird by normie standards, but for furry standards, it's pretty much, like, vanilla. And I'm just aware of a lot of weird shit that goes beyond that. And it's just kind of like, where does this shit come from? Because I've noticed that some things are inspired from cartoons, like a certain fascination in an unfuckable character that you fantasize fucking. And it's like, where does that come from? Are you, like, have you grown up to becoming a man-child and you were just so fixated on that as, you know, puberty is hit and you've sort of grown older and, you know, you can't get a girlfriend for whatever reason. Maybe you're gay. Maybe you're just too fugly to attract a girlfriend. I do apologize. But, I don't know, like, maybe you don't want a girlfriend. Maybe you don't want the hassle, responsibility, or, like, giving a shit about somebody else. You just want something that's a complete fantasy. I don't know. Like, some people I know, they really want a girlfriend. Like, they're obsessed about it to the point, like, Chris Chan's Love Quest. Or, like, they are not interested. They just want to fuck around, enjoy the bachelor-free lifestyle for a while. Fuck around, one-night stands. Maybe a recurrent gal pal that's going to be their, like, main squeeze for a while as friends with benefits sort of situation. But yeah, I don't know. It takes a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot of, like, mental, emotional energy, I would say, to, like, keep a girlfriend, keep her happy, or keep a boyfriend for that matter. But somehow I think, like, homosexual relationships are simultaneously easier and harder. It's weird. Anyway, whatever. Isabella herself. So, going back to that whole thing that I was talking about before, and I know I've been jumping around a lot. It's kind of my style. I improv all the shit that I record here to present on the internet. I do apologize, but it's been a long work week. Isabella she's shown a lot of sort of lesbian-esque tendencies. And going back to that video, like, it would be substantiated that she was, tantamountably sexually molesting that girl to the point that she had to push her off of her and threaten violence. It was like trying to hide in the closet and then tried to, like, move Bella somewhere. But, I was trying to look more into the rape allegations because she was supposedly bragging about that. How she, like, raped somebody. And I am kind of curious about how far she would go with that. Because, like, somebody like her, she's not going to take no for an answer. If she wants something, she's going to get it. And she has to face repercussions for it. She's going to try to find some loophole to excuse her behavior. Like, for instance, she blames mild autism for, like, some of her odd behavior. Like, and that's just going by what the people that were closest to her would say. Like, she would do things that went above and beyond what normal people would consider to be socially acceptable. And, she would just be like, oh, have patience with me, I'm autistic. Even though she absolutely hates people with autism, but admits to mildly having some. Yeah, a woman of contradictions here. It's almost as if she will say just about anything to get people to get off her back. Speaks to a lack of responsibility for her own actions, kind of like a psychopath. Alright, well, she's allegedly groped people, she's sexually molested them, and I already told you that she's admitted to rape. Yeah. Has this picture of Bella gotten any better for you all? Or has it gotten worse? Because I would imagine worse. It's certainly gotten worse for me. I understood that, like, I promised you all a grand all, end all, be all video covering the ins and outs of Bella, her timeline, her history. It's been a busy work week, and I have side projects that I work on. If you all are interested in that, I can tell you sometime, but they are, like, relevant to YouTube tangentially, but I'll just say that mostly it's very dry subject matter. Like, occasionally you get tidbits of information that causes you to think, and then you can start to connect the dots, because a lot of the evidence is really in the form of Discord messages exchanged on that chess club website, or DMs, like direct messages between people. People that were nice enough or perhaps desperate enough to share their token with KiwiFarmers to divert any responsibility on themselves to Bella, because Bella was the mastermind of this whole grand saga, and, well, she kind of got her comeuppance, for better or for worse. Obviously for the better. But, it's kind of surprising to me that a lot of people are just really fixated on who this Bella person is and what she's all about. Because, that's what Bella is. She's the next Christian. That's the best way I can put it. Because, she has very quickly eclipsed anything that any interest or fascination with Christian and their life, Bella has very quickly eclipsed. And so you have, like, a ton of people out there. They're still releasing Christian videos, Christian updates, Christian history, Christian lore, but Bella is quickly garnering more attention, like, day by day. And I would say Machete Duck is perhaps one of the best people that have sort of highlighted the most important aspects of Bella's wrongdoings. And it's something to just behold, because, Machete Duck, I don't really like the fact that they're using a voice changer. Like, how, like, those suspects, or I shouldn't say suspects, people, like, in witness protection, like, they have to give sort of, like, a testimony, and to protect their identity, they'll put, like, a filter over their voice that makes them sound, like, really deep voiced. It's like, no, I know the real scoop. That sort of thing. that's what I get from that video or that series. And it makes you wonder who the actual person that's giving the information and the narration, like, who is that? And why are they concealing her voice? Should I be concerned? Should I be doing that with my videos? Should I, like, try to employ some voice acting to try to, you know, avoid any confrontations or, like, questions from the general public, or maybe at the workplace, if they, heavens fucking forbid, find my videos? The world may never know. Hopefully I never find out. But if I do, well, I will tell you what my reaction would probably be. Yep, says everything I need to say, with a hand gesture and a goofy-ass smile. Alright, so obviously what I'm trying to say to you all is there's just so much here. And a lot of you ask me recurrent questions that have already been covered in other videos. I'm not trying to be an asshole when I make, you know, like, responses, but honestly, it was covered in the video. If I know where it's from, I will tell you, and it's almost always from KiwiFarms. The threads sometimes shift around, some threads get closed. In fact, the main Isabella Janke thread was closed down a while ago. That was like, you know, August 10th. And it's the 20th, so that was 10 days ago. But that is the source of all of this information, because the Kiwi farmers have taken upon themselves to look through the ins and outs of Isabella Janke. I mean, granted, her father kind of tried to fuck over their website, so stands to reason that they would probably try to fight back any way they can. If that means keeping the information up despite her, well, kudos to you, Kiwi Farms. Never thought I'd say that, but ever since Kiro the Wolf, you've done some good for the internet community, even though you're not doing it for us. You're doing it because, well, you want to get your jollies off, but it's not really far be it for me to question your motives in all of this. I just take it with professional skepticism and hope for the best, because some of the Kiwi farmers, they have expressed less than favorable opinions about people like you, me, and you. Alright, so apart from that, obviously there's not going to be a whole lot of updates for either Christian or Bella, unless Texas Tech University actually does something. They don't seem interested to release a public statement, at least acknowledging the fact that Bella did wrongdoing. They're probably not going to. And some people have wisely pointed out that for such a prestigious university, they don't want to draw that kind of bad publicity to themselves. They would rather brush this under the rug or act like they did something and not do it. And I don't even know if Michael Janke is like a contributor to their college. I mean, like, think about it this way. Isabella Janke is a student at Texas Tech University. That means that either she is incurring debt, which is highly unlikely because she has rich bitch parents. Her parents are probably picking up the tab for tuition. The school has an incentive to keep her enrolled, you know? And even if it means giving her a slap on the wrist and being like, yo, this needs to stop, like, right now, they would rather give her a slap on the wrist or give her a very light sentence and keep her enrolled than throw her to the wolves and expel her ass. To get expelled, you have to do something pretty egregious, like raping another student, which she did, allegedly. Or, like, you know, doing things. A lot of the things that she did, if more people were willing to come forth and be, like, aware of that and escalate the situation, I'm sure that they could nail her ass. The problem is that a lot of the people that are actually reaching out to the school and university came off as more of a nuisance than people that they would actually take seriously. Because remember, the victims would have to be students themselves. Because what care is the school going to have unless it's, like, you know, on Channel 5 News or appearing on Fox News or CNN or MSNBC? They're not going to give a shit, probably. I've been to university before. It's all about what looks good. Not really what's justice or what is proper or what is fair. It's what looks good. Or is there a policy or a protocol in place for that? We're going to do that on a selective basis because that's what we do. It's kind of bullshit, but at the same time, it really comes down to how bad does it look? Do we really need to do something heavy-handed? Or can we kind of kick this can down the road and hope the problem goes away and solves itself? Yeah. And again, if I seem jaded when I, like, say all this, I've seen things happen when I was in college that were kind of questionable, and you'd think that the school would actually grow a pair and step in and do something about it, but they don't. because that's going to cause a lot of problems for their image. Their image needs to be ironclad so they get more students and more tuition money, and then they can jack up the tuition rates to make even more money. So, yeah. Good luck swaying Texas Tech University to do something, because they've already shown that they have a lack of interest in dedicating more than even a cursory glance at Bella Janke. I'm not saying that they're not looking into it, but they're probably not going to do a whole lot. Just so that we're clear. And if they have, I actually saw a thread on the KiwiFarms the other day. Like, this was just yesterday. I'll check it again. But Texas Tech University was supposedly doing something about all this, and that there was going to be a decision made, like, in the near future or something like that. But there wasn't anything concrete. Honestly, it really came down to a news article that was done by, like, what was it, an independent journalist about the crazy, like, things that were happening at the university regarding Isabella Janke and, like, what we could expect from the school. So, yeah, good luck with that. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, I hope I'm wrong. Because if I'm wrong, then that will mean that, like, Isabella Janke either gets suspended or she gets expelled. I don't know if you actually get suspended from, like, college. I've never seen that as, like, a thing, Obviously, you get suspended from high school, but, like, college, I guess you could get dismissed from, like, the school for a couple days, and that's called a quote-unquote suspension, but I've never seen people suspended. It's always been expulsion if you get that far. But you'd have to really fuck up to get that far, alright? Anyway, sorry if this video has been meandering for too long. It's been a long work week. I just want to kick back, relax, and sort of talk to you all about this bullshit. But yeah, Isabella Janke, I'm still going all over this shit, so this is more like recent updates, what I figured out, like, all on my own, just stumbling upon it on KiwiFarms, or like hearing about it and just kind of looking into it and being like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So my apologies, I'm not trying to make any like bullshit fluff videos, but the reason I'm covering this still is that it's still a relevant topic of interest that a lot of people seem to be enraptured by, and I really, like, this is not the Christian News Network, alright? So this is not going to be like endless, like Gibby, Base Shaman, or like Dylan Thomas. Because, as you might have noticed, I do a little bit of everything. I kind of like it that way. I don't want to, like, dedicate myself too much into one particular topic of interest. I like to sort of switch it up a little bit. So, this will be, for the recent time being, unless there's, like, major things after that end-all be-all video. Hopefully I don't have to keep talking about Fungal Girl. What do we call her? They've been, like, comparing, like, Isabella Janke to, like, mushrooms. Like, drawing her as a mushroom. Because she's basically a walking fungus. Well, certainly a walking fungal infection. I mean, it's weird that her two greatest quote-unquote simps were a Nigerian and an Indonesian, when she herself being apparently for, like, it seems like she's of, like, mixed Latino blood. Her being, like, a white supremacist and just being an absolutely abhorrent individual herself, but I guess that's par for the course. As far as the quote-unquote cult that she was running, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I see no signs of a religious dogma or a religious set of ideals that are built around a charismatic leader. And I guess you can make the argument that Bella is charismatic enough to, like, draw a cult around her. But come on. I mean, like, the most that they were doing is torturing small animals. I didn't see any, like, pentagrams, or I didn't see any salt circles, or fucking anything that would resemble a belief system other than that minorities bad, transgender people bad, autism bad. Even though some of the members appear to have varying forms of autism. But, like, yeah, Bella just... She was the head honcho, and she gets to die with her... At least her reputation gets to die with her little social circle there that she had, like, been propping up. And good thing too, because, like, there's, like, way too many of those types of groups around, hate groups. They just target people that they don't like, and, sometimes try to intervene and mess with their daily lives. And sometimes, like, if it's a troll attempt, like, I see that as, like, pranking somebody. Like, Liquid Chris is probably the best example of that sort of thing. Just kind of, like, having fun for having fun. Other people, they take it way too far. Especially some of the trolls, like Blue Spike with Chris Chan. Anyway, I think I've just droned on and on and on about this for long enough now. I will make another video as soon as more things come to mind, things I can readily recollect off the top of my head and share with you all, some more profound thoughts that actually can form a coherent sentence around, rather than just an endless string of non sequiturs. So, hope you all enjoy the video, guys. Till next time, take care and peace. I hope you all have a better one.